guys, in this video we're going to look at what is a monohybrid test cross and what situation would you use a monohybrid test cross. So I'm sharing my screen with you now, and you'll be able to see our slides, which are under Chapter 9 on Blackboard, and we're going to study what's a monohybrid test cross and how can it help you work out the genotype of the parent. So remember, your genotype is your genetic code, like big B, big B, big B, little b, little b, little b. These are all genotypes. So your genotype tells you which genes you have in your DNA, and then your phenotype tells you what your individual looks like. So big B, if B was fur color, would be black. Big B, little b, again, is black because black is dominant over white. And then little b would be white or red or whatever the other recessive color is of fur color. So remember, your phenotype tells you what your organism looks like, and your genotype tells you what genes are present inside the DNA of that organism. So let's look at why we would need to do a monohybrid test cross. Sometimes you don't know the genotype of your parent, but you can work it out by looking at your offspring. So individuals or organisms that have the recessive phenotype always have the recessive genotype. So what does that tell you? It says if you have white fur, you're always going to be little b, little b. So if you have a group of rabbits and the white rabbits are the recessive genotype and the black rabbits are the dominant genotype, then if you have the genetic code little b, the fur color of a little b genotype rabbit is always going to be white. Now, if you have a black rabbit, there are two possibilities for what the options are for the fur color or what the genotype is inside that particular rabbit. Because we know that big B gives you a black rabbit, but also big B, little b would give you a rabbit with black fur. So if you have a rabbit that has black fur, it could be either this one or this one. So how do you work out which type of rabbit you have? If you're a rabbit breeder, this could be important. Maybe white rabbits are extremely popular and you want more white rabbits. Or maybe black rabbits are really popular and you don't want any white rabbits. So you need to know what your genotype is of your rabbits and then breed the right ones to get the correct offspring that you want. So this is where the monohybrid test cross comes in. So you're crossing the unknown genotype, the black rabbit that could be big B or big B, little b, with your white rabbit. You know the genotype of your white rabbit, it's got to be little b, right? So here, let's go back to our Labradors. So remember, if your Labrador was black was the dominant genotype for the fur color of the Labrador, but this guy could be big B or big B, little b, okay? So how would I find out what is this guy's genotype, right? I breed it with a dog that I know is little b. So this chocolate lab, the only time you ever get chocolate labs is when you have the genotype little b, right? So if I breed my chocolate lab with my black lab that I don't know the genotype of, depending on what the babies look like, it's going to tell me what the genotype is of this dog. So for example, if these two get together and every puppy they have is a black puppy, it must have been big B, this dog, right? Because do your Punnett square, right? So I know my chocolate lab is going to be little b, right? And I'm guessing the other one is big B, but I'm not sure about this second one. But I'm going to take a gamble, it's another big B. So if these two get together and you do your Punnett square, what are the four possibilities for the offspring? They're all going to be big B, little b, and all those dogs would have black fur. So then this experiment, if all the puppies have black fur, this tells me that this dog must have been big B. But what if we get one black puppy, one chocolate puppy? What did that mean? So again, do your Punnett square. And this time you're thinking, okay, here's my chocolate lab. And then this time I'm guessing that this guy is big B with a little b, but it's just a guess. But the puppies are going to tell you what the genetic code is, because this one's going to be big B, little b, this one's going to be big B, little b, this one's going to be little b, little b, this one's going to be little b, little b. So you have a 50% chance of it being a black puppy and a 50% chance of it being a chocolate puppy, right? So if you get chocolate puppies, you know that this dog must have been big B, little b. So you can see that by breeding your unknown dog with a dog that you know the genotype of, you were able, by looking at the offspring, to work out what the genotype of that dog would be. So that's called a monohybrid test cross. So here's a good exam question to show you a sample of how this would come on the test. You have a blue flower. You don't know if it's big B, or big B, little b. You're breeding the flower with a pure breed white flower. 75% of the flowers, the offspring, are blue. What was the genotype of your blue flower? So basically we're asking the question, is it big B, or is it big B, little b? How do we find out? We breed it with the white flower. And I didn't tell you here, you have to understand that a white flower would be little b, because it's recessive, right? That's the whole point of a monohybrid test cross. You breed your unknown entity with the homozygous recessive version. So I cross big B with little b, and I cross this one. Okay, so let's do the Punnett squares, because Punnett squares never lie. Big B, little b. So if my blue plant was big B, what should all the flowers have looked like? They should have been 100% blue flowers, right? Was that what I saw? No, I saw 75% blue flowers, so it can't be this one. So then let's do our Punnett square to double check over here. Big B, little b, little b, big B, little b, big B, little b. Oops, hold on. Little b, big B, little b, little b, two. All right, so this one is two little b's, right? So B from here, B from here. So in this case, it's predicting that it should be 50% blue and 50% white. But the fact that there was any white flowers at all, so if you're 75% blue, you're implying there that there was 25% white, right? So if any white flowers at all showed up, you know it had to be this one, big B, little b. So the genotype of my blue flower is big B, little b, because this is the only genotype that would result in me getting some white flowers from the mixture, okay? So these are the type of questions you would get on the test. And the four answers, so if you're wondering in a multiple choice question, what would the four answers to this potential question be? Answer A would be big B, and answer B would be big B, little b, right? So you would have to pick between those two answers. So this would have been the answer, right? B would have been the answer, A would have been not the answer. Okay, so hopefully you understand the point of monohybrid test crosses. It's when you cross with the homozygous recessive, and you're going to examine the offspring, and then that'll tell you what the genotype of your unknown organism was.